I'm just going to start by saying a few final things about the displays, and that, you know, this detailed display that we're seeing here, to get to a specific title, I'm just waiting for it to pull up. We do have some control over the detailed display, and we have control over the search results display that's showing up here and this detailed display. But this is all part of a beta period where we're going to, you know, you're going to be giving us your feedback over the next 2 months in these forums. So right now it is working, and the way we have it set up is mainly because we had to take into account different formats and different libraries and different material. You'll notice on the detail display, you've got your available that's showing up by your profile, your restrictions, and if there is summaries, author notes, reviews, those will show up too. And I can't remember where those are coming from. Synthetics? Synthetics. Okay. And that's where we're obviously still getting our book cover images from too, where they exist. I know Randy has been pretty good about this, but if you do see problems with your book images, you can email the help desk, and there are communications we have open with Synthetics to get some of those images fixed. We can't always fix them, but there's oftentimes we can.
So let me ask a question. For those patrons that come in and say, I don't know the name of the book, but it has a book cover, can you search that way?
I wish. So another thing I wanted to show you was some of the functionality on this detail display that we kind of brushed right over. I don't know if you were going to talk about this, but you can select multiple results from your search and do multiple actions on them. So, or you can do one action on multiple items, might be the better way to send it. I do a search on gardening books because, you know, it will be spring eventually, one day. And I want, you know, all the information from all the books emailed to me so that then I can figure out, James is making jokes about the fact that I have a garden but never ever weed it, so I wouldn't really say it's a garden. It's more of a heap in the background. No. Whatever. So if you select these, and you know, you can email them, you can text them, you can print them, you can place requests on multiple things at multiple times. You can sort, which is also something you can do in Aqua Browser, sort by relevance, which is the default, and pub date descending, title, and author. I like this feature. I use this currently in Aqua Browser, it's an RSS feed. And I use this in combination with the ifthisthenThat.com little functionality. So if I did a search, let's say I like reading historical fiction. So I do a search under Zambroda's profile for historical fiction. I want to be notified whenever Zambroda has a new book that is historical fiction. So I use my search and then the RSS feed and then if then that, so that every time that RSS feed is filled, it emails me when there's a new historical fiction book. And if that's something you're interested in, I can certainly show you how to do that some other time. I'll come up with instructions. But right now, I get emails every time a new historical fiction book is added. And I did that by subject heading. Let's see, what else? Oh, there are these other ways of looking at the detailed display here. And, oh, that's what I'm on. And then here you can look at it this way, so pretty. And then you can do the cool iris, which I think is supposed to be like a bookshelf. Is that kind of the idea behind it? Yeah, so it's like browsing, I guess. And there's only 4, so this isn't a great example, but you know, you would move around. Let me show you another example. Take a look at all of these DVDs. there, so you can, I don't know, it's kind of cool. I don't think I'd ever use it, but I'm sure somebody has a use for it that I'm not thinking of.
If you see one on any light, you just click it and it'll bring it.
Oh, I get this to zooming in and zooming out.
Does it only have the ones on the first page, or does it have everything?
No, it keeps going.
Okay.
So it just takes a second to load. It's loading the images from synthetics. So. There we go. You can tell I've played with that one a lot.
That's why I find your book cover.
There you go, yeah. Okay, so I think that's all I have on displays. We'll be soliciting feedback, of course, in the forum, or however Donovan discusses that later. Yes.
I was just going to mention that because I know she skipped it. Yes, there is one other little thing in the display. There is the Facebook like button. We've linked that up so that once you actually hit that like button, it will post it onto your profile saying, so-and-so liked this book.
So the joke is I did this just to test it out like a couple weeks ago with a book that I haven't read. And like four of my friends were like, oh, that was such a great book. And I was like, oh, I better not tell them I actually haven't read it.
So I have a question for that. On Facebook, then, does it link to our catalog version of that? So then if someone's like,
Yeah.
that's what they see that you like this book, and the link they can press on there will take them to this site.
Yep.
Okay, and I don't want to be searching temporary DVDs.
Why not?
I can't spell either. There we are.
French.
Normally I can spell, I just haven't been able to. Okay, at this point we've covered most of the things we're going to talk about on ebooks through questions throughout, but there are a few little things I would like to point out. First of all, we do have these. Oh, I was going to point out the facets first. There are two additional facets that came along with the ERC. The first one is electronic formats. We're still debating the usefulness of this one for our SELCO profile, although if you want to use it, you are still free. And this will break it down for ebooks defined by their format. What we think is more useful at this point is the e-reader format, which will allow you to look at ones that are available for your e-reader, for the Nook here, the Kobo, the Kindle, the Sony Reader. You can just click that and we'll restrict it to only ones you can use on your device. The one other really cool thing about ebooks is, well, there are two cool things I'm going to go into. The ERC, which is the Electronic Resource Center for Cersei Dynamics, is what we're using to connect our Overdrive account to Enterprise. With the ERC, we also gained access to the entirety of Project Gutenberg and Open Library. So instead of having the 400-odd titles that Becky has gone through the process of cataloging and putting into Horizon, we have access to all Project Gutenberg titles inside of Horizon. And as these are Project Gutenberg or Open Library, they are available to anyone, including our schools, if they choose to use them. They don't have any restrictions like that, and they're unlimited downloads. As we were mentioning, the point of this connection is to be able to be the one-stop shop for our library patrons and to be able to just get access to ebooks from inside the Enterprise catalog. We are still working on getting it up and running for Overdrive. This is a fairly new process, and we think we might be only the second library with Horizon to be able to work on this part of the project. So it isn't, we know what is wrong with the Overdrive part of this function, and Cersei Dynamics has admitted it. They've moved it up to a red level ticket, which means that it is urgent for their techs to get this fixed as soon as possible. But for right now, it does work with Project Gutenberg and Open Library. If you come to the search results display, or if you go to the tail display, you will see there is the download button right here. You can just go ahead and click that, and then choose your format, and you can check out right from the results display, as long as you are logged into Enterprise. If you aren't logged into Enterprise, it will prompt you for your card number and your PIN to log in. But other than that, you can download right from here instead of having to go all the way to the Overdrive catalog through the links. If it's not available, it says place hold. And I'm not sure if you can place the hold from Enterprise or it has to direct you to Overdrive. Like I said, it's not working properly right now, so we haven't been able to test that part.
It just takes you right to Overdrive and then like log in and place your hold for portal.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to work that way.
Okay. One other thing that I realized after I sat down that I forgot to point out about your library profiles is some of the links up here on top, mainly these ones over here. Library information, I have gone through and compiled your library hours, your address, and your phone numbers, and put them into your library information for each of your profiles. Some of you need to be updated as you've changed hours in the last month or so, but for the most part, patrons can quickly look up there to find out the hours and where the library is. Oh, trap tabs. So they can get the quick information on your library. And another option we have up here is select language. I'm going to show you this on the SELCO one because I went through and had to code all of this. I know it's working on the SELCO one. I have yet to test all the profiles. So we can switch over to Spanish. And it will change certain parts of the record into Spanish. Obviously, our marked cataloging is all in English, so it isn't smart enough to translate that over. But the built-in parts of Enterprise, for example, by is now for, or however I took French. Sorry, Cheryl. And I've gone through and been able to change our links up here into Spanish as well. Okay, go back to English because I can't function in Spanish. And then up here we do have an ADA mode available for our patrons if they have issues. Well, you all know how ADA works. If they have issues or they need a less graphically intense one, so they can be able to have it read to them, they can hit the ADA mode and enable it that way. And there is also the help button up here, which links to a default help document for Enterprise that's provided by Cersei Dynex for patrons. Okay. Next thing I have are my lists. If you have been using them in Aqua Browser, you'll know that right now we have lists through My Discoveries, which actually isn't supplied by Aqua Browser, that is supplied by a third company. So it's really confusing. So, one thing with this is that because it is hosted by this other company, we don't have any way to export anything that's in My Discoveries into Enterprise to be able to get there for our patrons. What we have done, though, is, I'm only going to cover this briefly because Cheryl's going to cover more on rooms, is we've created a room in each of your profiles that says Need My Discoveries over here. This links over here into a little subset and lets you know that at this point we can't get them, but you can still access My Discoveries from any Aqua Browser catalog. Even when we take ours down, you can still access them by going through another Aqua Browser catalog and just logging in as per normal. I've compiled a short list over here of 4 sites that have Aqua Browser catalogs for our patrons who need to transfer their items over. I don't know exactly how long this room will stay up, but it'll be up there long enough for people who are concerned about their list to be able to transfer them into Enterprise. Now, as for the lists themselves in Enterprise, let me just do a quick search here. Well, quick search, I'm switching everything, so. Now, if I want to add something into a list, I could, of course, do it from the detailed display. In here, there is an action to place Add to My List, or I can add multiple items to a list from this drop-down menu. As I am logged in as Cheryl, apparently.
I have logs too. So.
Is this logged into your admin or your... Okay, good. So I am logged into a patron account at least. It goes ahead and adds them to a temporary list because Cheryl doesn't have any lists set up on her profile right now. So if I hit My List up here on top, I can go in and see I have a temporary list set up with these items on it. The temporary list will last long enough until the cookies reset on the browser. If you close out the window so if you let it sit idle for too long, the temporary list will disappear. So if you're concerned about that, because even if you aren't logged in, it will automatically create a temporary list. At that point, you can log in and merge your temporary list onto another list. The lists are available over here with the plus. Add list and say to read or something like that. Okay, so you can see I have a temporary list here and I have the to read list. I can go ahead and take all of these and move them to the to read list. With that over here, it's just a quick, very quick display for these items for patrons to get back to them for later reference. As you know, we don't keep circulation history on our patrons, but if they want to keep a list of what they've read in Enterprise, feel free to create them in my list. Or something to read. Personally, I use Goodreads because I like to be able to do the social networking part of it as well, which I think is better integration than you're ever going to find in the library catalog. But it's still a nice, quick option, so you can link it up to your library cards. You can come back and find these books later. If you're like, I want to read this, but not right now, come back to my list and hit place request from here. Okay, I am going to log out from Cheryl right now, so we don't do anything too embarrassing.
Don't let James see all my how to get an easy divorce. I'm going to have to make like a really nice dinner.
First you tell me you're pregnant, and then you're telling me, where's it? Is it mine? Okay, now that I'm logged in, I can go up to my account here. And as Donovan pointed out, since this is supplied by Cersei Dining, we don't need to go through the back way and go into the iPack like we have to with Aqua Browser. But you can see that you have the personal account information up here. I can choose as a patron which tab opens up automatically. I have it set to the default, which is personal information, but I can choose any of these 4 tabs up here. And I can choose my default language. If I change my default language, once I log into Enterprise, it will change the profile to Spanish if I choose that. Well, of course, when you just come in through a regular link, it will be to English unless you create your link to Spanish if you have a need to do that. And we have the SMS notifications, which you've all been hearing a lot about lately. That's also right in here. And we have a summary of the information on here. Next thing is we have the checkouts. I don't know why the due date isn't showing right now. It might be the fact that I just checked them out right before this meeting. It might take an overnight to propagate that.
Or an hourly delta?
No, the hourly delta is friend.
You can look up my account.
But it works on yours?
I don't know.
Oh. We'll see about that. That's something I just now got before this meeting. I apologize for not looking into it farther.
I saw that you could change your own PIN. Can they change their own PIN?
I'm not quite sure.
Because I don't think they can now, right? Don't you have to do it through Horizon? Okay.
We will have to look into that one yet. We haven't researched that one. But I've noticed that one as well. But I've given over because like I said, I'm not quite sure if it works yet or not. It's something I've yet to test.
I hope they can. I'm just going to throw that up there.
Okay. So we can go there, and, you know, I bet this is because I just did it today, and I changed the due dates around manually. You don't...
Sorry? You can't change your PIN from Aqua Browser right now. You can't. You can't. You can't.
Yeah.
It doesn't automatically change it. Yeah, it doesn't change it. I don't think it goes over to Horizon. Oh, does it? I would think that's what would be. Because it's all to the old PIN, and then I have to enter a new PIN twice. So, rather than confusing Aqua Browser and Enterprise, let us finish this demonstration, and the help desk will send out an email message that sort of does a, today, you can do this with your PIN, and in the future, we'll be studying what you can do with a PIN.
SELCO TDF.
SELCO TDF or something, but we'll do it so everybody has the information.
Okay, and then you see we also have the request tabs up here, and it tells you which ones are ready for pickup, how many are on the hold shelf sitting there for you right now. Obviously, I don't have any requests out at the moment. And then finally, there is a little find tab right there, which shows any current finds that are on the on their record. Over here, we have a little summary of these items. And here is where the Pay Now function is located, which will take you over to EnvisionWare so you can pay your library fines online. It's fun. It's $3.14. I'm a math nerd at heart. Okay. Now, you still search the catalog right from here, and it doesn't take you to some weird display like it does on the iPad. So, from here we have the requests on the results display, which functions much as it does in Aqua Browser. This does a bib level request, so the dustiest book in the region is the one that's going to be able to fill it. From there, from the search details display, you can, of course, come in here, go down to the items holding, and do item-specific requests. Sure, I already showed you how to do that. One thing I would like to point out is a nice little improvement from Aqua Browser is the fact that you don't need to log in to do multiple item-level requests.
Yay. Are you going to be able to apply that one action to multiple items from this screen, like it's almost or just 1, 2, 3, 4? So you can go ahead and do it every time.
That's an interesting idea.
Oh.
At this point, you have to do it every time because there's no way to select multiple items. But that is definitely something to bring up as Thursday Dynamics for enhancement requests or to look into. Maybe there's a feature we just aren't aware of. That's something we can discuss in the forum as well. Okay, one second. Let me bring up my document again, see what else I have yet to talk about. I have to hand this over fairly soon to Cheryl because Donovan's coming up fairly quick too.
We started about 15 minutes late, so if we need to go a little longer, we can.
Actually, I've covered the summary of my stuff, so it's on to Cheryl for rooms now.
Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to talk about rooms, which you've heard us talk about a few times here now. Basically, what a room is a website built into your profile. Each of your profiles are a room. So this is Zimbroda's home room. As I hit the little home button, so cute. And then you can put these rooms on the left, on the right-hand side. So the room that I played with, that I showed ILS off not very long ago, was the mysteries room, which I haven't really made any changes. So all this is basically a website that's attached to your home profile. The great thing about these rooms is that you can make one and then move it over to another profile. So you can copy it, you can then take it over to your profile to edit it to do what you want. So here's an example of the mystery room, and it's under Zimbroda's profile. And I have adjusted the search in this room so that it is only looking for mystery items that Zimbroda has. And you can do this with each of your profiles, obviously. So I'm just doing a blank search, so that's going to take a minute. And we get 119,000. In this case, I did it by subject heading. So, so it's looking for that detective and mystery story, any book, any DVD, whatever that has that heading, and the item is in Zimbroda, is what it's doing here. Whereas if you go to the SELCO one, and I was just messing with these search limits before during the break, so hopefully this is working perfect. So, and so this is finding I don't even remember how I have this set up, but you can see we're getting mystery items under this search. I'll show you another room that I know is working a little. So I created another room yesterday. That's the Easter room. So this room, if I hit search, it's just searching for materials that are that have Easter in the subject heading and not island, because we don't want Easter island. So, and you can set these up. They don't just have to work subject headings. Or search subject headings. That's how I set them up because that's what I'm familiar with. You can search any part of the MARC record that you're really looking for, and you can limit it. So 629 things across all libraries that have like Easter bunny, Easter, I'm trying to think what else. There was Easter eggs. So they all begin with Easter and don't have island in them. So you can see, you could limit this further and do DVDs, or you could do it with your facets over here on the left-hand side. So there are 43 DVDs in the region that have Easter in a subject heading somewhere. And here we have Sid the Science Kid, Rock and Roll Easter. Harmony and Zimbrota have that as a J DVD. So when you get people who want Easter material, you can set this up. If we go back to the room, and look at what I've done here is I set it up as a 2-column room. Tyler was talking earlier about how your home profiles are set up as 3-column rooms. That's just kind of the default one. This is a 2-column one. You could make it 3. You could make it 1. And this is just HTML. That's all I did. If I were to log in as an admin, then it would give me like HTML edits, and I just loaded in a picture and I did some typing. So you could put things like, you know, I just found the Easter egg hunt at the Rochester JCs on a website and cut and pasted it over. So you could do a room that has, you know, local information. Maybe if your church is doing something for Easter and you want to put it on your library website under a room and have a special Easter, you can certainly do that. Or if there's an Easter egg hunt, yeah.
She is saying it's HTML, but it's actually, you can also work it as a WYSIWYG editor, so
Yeah.
it's a lot like WordPress.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do it just by image, or you can go to the back way and go with the HTML code.
Yeah, there is a WYSIWYG to it, but it's easier for me to just use HTML.
Okay.
But are we going
that's
to be?
what I want to do. I want to clarify something though. Unless something has gone on that I'm not aware of, that's more information about what we will have to do to create the rooms. Well, we're not planning right now to ask you to start creating rooms. We certainly have kicked around the concept that someday down the road, just like we tap into the collective wisdom of the group for cataloging, we might try to tap into your collective wisdom for room creation, but we're going to be creating the rooms for at least the foreseeable future. So that's just more to give you some idea on the back end of how we'll be setting that up, is that we can do it in HTML, or using this editor, which will allow us to expand the SELCO staff that can actually get their hands into that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I mentioned it because I just wanted you to know if you were going to make suggestions, like don't drop me some JavaScript and expect me to put it in there because I may not be able to do it. But yeah, I can load in images and, you know, center and align and do that kind of stuff. So change the colors and whatever.